The cargo hauler shuddered as it docked with Terminus 7. Day gripped the controls with calloused hands and watched the station's metal arms lock onto his ship. He hated this place. Everyone did. But credits were credits, and he needed to deliver his cargo if he wanted to eat next week. He powered down the engines and stood up from his pilot seat. His knees cracked. He was only 32, but space travel aged a man quickly. The small mirror near the door showed him what he already knew. Dark circles under his eyes, a scar running from his left ear to his jaw, hair that needed cutting. He looked tired because he was tired. The station air hit him when he opened the hatch. It smelled like oil and something rotten. Terminus 7 floated at the edge of Valtrine space, far from any laws that mattered. People came here to buy and sell things that were illegal everywhere else. Weapons, drugs, information, and people. Day walked through the corridor with his head down. He had been here 3 times before, always just to drop off cargo and leave. He never stayed longer than necessary. The walls were covered in advertisements written in a dozen languages. Most of them promised things he did not want to think about. He found the cargo office and handed over his delivery codes. A fat alien with 4 arms counted credits onto a data pad. "Your payment," it said in broken human language. "You want stay? Good entertainment tonight." "No," Day said quickly. "I leave as soon as I refuel." The alien laughed, a wet sound that made Day's skin crawl. "You humans. Always running. Where you run to? Empire everywhere." Day did not answer. He took his payment and turned to leave. But as he walked back through the station, he heard sounds coming from a large chamber. Voices, lots of them, and underneath a voice speaking through amplifiers. He should have kept walking. He should have gone straight back to his ship. But something made him stop. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the voice speaking human words. He turned toward the chamber entrance. The auction hall was huge, bigger than his entire ship. Hundreds of aliens sat in rows, their eyes fixed on a raised platform at the front. On that platform stood a creature Day recognized. A Valtrine broker. They called this one Thex. He was tall and covered in green scales with eyes like a snake. "Next item," Thex announced, his voice booming. "Very rare. Very valuable. Young human female, healthy, no diseases, no marks." 2 guards dragged someone onto the platform. Day's heart stopped. She was human. A young woman, maybe 25. She wore a gray prisoner suit that hung loose on her thin frame. Her black hair fell past her shoulders, tangled and dirty. But her face was what made Day freeze in place. She was not crying. She was not begging. She stood straight, her dark eyes staring out at the crowd with something that looked like hate. Metal collars circled her neck and wrists, control devices. If she tried to run or fight, they would shock her unconscious. Everyone knew how they worked. "Starting bid," Thex said. 5,000 credits. An alien in the front row raised a tentacle. 5,000. 6,000, another called out. Day felt sick. He should leave. This was not his problem. He had his own troubles, his own debts. He barely had enough credits to make it through the month. But he could not stop staring at the woman on the platform. She reminded him of someone. His sister, Jihi. 5 years ago, raiders had attacked their colony. Jihi had been 20 then, full of life and dreams. The raiders took her along with 100 others. Day had searched for months, spent everything he had, but found nothing. She had vanished into the Empire's slave networks like smoke. This woman was not Jihi, but she could have been. She had the same defiant look in her eyes, the same refusal to break. 10,000, someone bid. 12,000, another countered. The woman's eyes scanned the crowd. For just a moment they met Day's. He saw something in that glance. A plea? A challenge? He was not sure. But something inside him snapped. His hand moved before his brain caught up. He raised it high. 15,000, he heard himself say. The chamber went quiet. Heads turned. Aliens stared at him with confusion and amusement. Humans did not buy humans at Terminus 7. That was not how this worked. Thex's snake eyes found him. You bid 15,000? You serious, human? D's throat was dry. Yes. Show credits. Day pulled out his datapad with shaking hands. He transferred his entire account balance to the auction's holding system. Every credit he had earned this month. Every credit he had saved. The pad showed the total. 15,243 credits. Thex looked at his own screen and laughed. He's serious. Anyone bid higher? The chamber stayed silent. The aliens whispered to each other. This was unexpected entertainment. Watching a human by another human. It was funny to them. Going once, Thek said. Going twice, sold. To the stupid human in the back. Laughter filled the hall. Day's legs felt weak, but he forced himself to walk forward. What had he done? He had just spent everything on a stranger. He could not even afford fuel now. But he kept walking. Guards brought the woman to him. Up close, he could see the bruises on her arms. The way her hands shook slightly. But her eyes were still hard, still burning with that inner fire. Congratulations, Thek said with a grin that showed too many teeth. She yours now. Property papers here. He handed Day a data chip. You want control codes for collars? Yes, Day managed to say. Extra 200 credits. Day almost laughed. He did not have 200 credits anymore. I will manage without them, Thek shrugged. Your funeral if she kills you. He waved them away. Next item. Day gently touched the woman's arm. She flinched but did not pull away. Come on, he said softly. Let's get out of here. They walked through the station in silence. Day could feel every eye watching them. When they finally reached his ship, he helped her up the ramp. The hatch closed behind them with a hiss. In the safety of his cargo hold, the woman finally spoke. Her voice was rough, like she had not used it in a long time. Why? She asked. Day looked at her. Really looked at her. At the collars. At the suspicion in her eyes. At the way she stood ready to fight even though she must be exhausted. I don't know, he admitted. I couldn't watch it anymore. She studied him for a long moment. What now? What do you want from me? Day reached into his toolkit and pulled out a cutting laser. Her eyes widened and she stepped back. But he held up his free hand. I'm going to remove those collars, he said. If you will let me. Why would you do that? Because, Day said, nobody should wear those things. She did not move, did not speak, but slowly, very slowly. She nodded. It took him 20 minutes to carefully cut through the collar locks without triggering the shock systems. When the last collar fell to the floor with a clang, the woman touched her neck with trembling fingers. A red mark circled her skin where the metal had been. What's your name? Day asked. She looked at him like she was trying to decide if he was real. Hana, she finally said. Park Hana. I'm Day, Kang Day. He sat down on a cargo crate, suddenly exhausted. I have a problem, Hana. I just spent every credit I had. I don't even have enough fuel to leave this station. Hana stared at him. Then impossibly she laughed. It was a short, bitter sound. So you freed me, but now we're both trapped here? Looks that way. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Hana spoke again, her voice softer. Thank you. Even if we're stuck here. Thank you. Day nodded. He had no idea what would happen next. He had no money, no plan, and no future. But looking at Hana rubbing her freed wrists, he could not bring himself to regret what he had done. Sometimes being human meant doing stupid things for the right reasons. Hana sat on the floor of the cargo hold, her back against the cold wall. She watched Dave move around his ship, checking systems and muttering to himself. Her neck still tingled where the collar had been. She kept touching the spot, making sure it was really gone. She did not trust him yet. How could she? In 5 years, she had learned that kindness was usually a trap. People did not help without wanting something in return, especially not men, especially not when it came to women like her. But Day had not touched her, had not even looked at her the wrong way. He had just removed the collars and then started worrying about fuel like she was not even there. It was strange, confusing. Are you hungry? Day asked suddenly. Hana tensed. Why? Because I'm making food and I assume you have not eaten real food in a while. She had not. The auction house fed slaves nutrient paste twice a day. It kept them alive but tasted like chemicals and sadness. I can eat, she said carefully. Day pulled out a small cooking unit and 2 ration packs. He heated them up and handed her one. Hana took it slowly, watching his hands. But he just sat down on the other side of the hold and started eating his own meal. The food was simple. Rice and vegetables with some kind of protein. But it was warm and it tasted like actual food. Hana ate slowly at first, then faster. She had not realized how hungry she was. When did you last eat real food? Day asked. Hana thought about it. 5 years ago. Before they took me, Day stopped eating. 5 years? You've been a slave for 5 years? Yes. Hana did not like talking about it, but something made her continue. Raiders attacked our colony. Shinsol. They killed the ones who fought and took the rest. I was 20 then. They sold me to a Valtrine officer first, then a trader, then another officer, then the auction house. She said it without emotion, like she was reading a list. It was easier that way. Day's jaw tightened. I'm sorry. That should never have happened to you. But it did happen. It happens every day. Humans are cheap in the Empire. They finished eating in silence. Then Day stood up and went to the pilot area. Hana watched him check screens and tap buttons. Finally, he came back looking tired. Here's our situation, he said. I have 43 credits left. That's not enough for fuel. Not enough for food. Not enough for anything. My next cargo job was supposed to pay well, but I can't take it without fuel to get there. So what will you do? Hana asked. I don't know yet. Day rubbed his face. But I want you to understand something. You're not my slave. You're not my property. Those papers Thex gave me, they don't mean anything to me. You're free. Hana laughed, but there was no humor in it. Free, look around. We're on a slave station in the middle of Empire space. Even if I leave this ship, where would I go? Freedom is just a word when you have nowhere to be free in. Then come with me, Day said. When I figure out how to get fuel, I'm heading to the free territories. Human space. Real human space where the Empire can't reach. We can both start over there. Why would you help me? What do you want? Day looked right at her. His eyes were tired but honest. I don't want anything. I had a sister, Jihya. Raiders took her 5 years ago, too. I searched everywhere but never found her. When I saw you on that platform, I saw her. I couldn't save Jihi, but maybe I could save you. He paused. That probably sounds stupid. Hana felt something crack inside her chest. Something that had been frozen for a long time. It doesn't sound stupid, she said quietly. You can leave whenever you want, Day continued. Or you can stay. If you stay, we're partners. Equals. I'll get us to the free territory somehow, and then you can decide what you want to do with your life. No pressure. No expectations. Partners. Equals. Hana had forgotten those words existed. She studied Day's face, looking for lies. But she only saw exhaustion and sincerity. If I stay, I want to help. I'm not useless. Before they took me, I worked on ship engines. I know my way around machinery. Day's eyebrows rose. Really, that's actually perfect. This ship is falling apart and I barely know how to fix it. Then we have a deal, Hana said. She did not smile, but something in her voice softened. Partners, they shook hands. Hana noticed that Day's grip was firm but gentle. He let go quickly, not holding on longer than necessary. Another point in his favor. Over the next few hours, they talked while Hana examined the ship's engines. Day told her about his life. How he had been a farmer on a colony world before everything went wrong. How he bought this old cargo hauler with borrowed money, and had been trying to pay it off ever since. How he survived by taking the jobs nobody else wanted. Hana told him less, but more than she had told anyone in 5 years. About Shinsol. About her family, all dead now. About the things she had endured that she could not quite talk about yet. Day listened without interrupting, without judging. Your engines are a mess, Hana said finally, wiping grease from her hands. But I can fix them. The real problem is fuel. Without it, even perfect engines won't help. I know. Day leaned against the wall. I've been thinking. I have a contact on this station. Borum. He deals in information and favors. Maybe he can help. Is he trustworthy? More than most. He's human too. Runs a small operation here, helping people who need it. If anyone can help us, it's him. They left the ship together. Hana felt exposed without the collars, like everyone could see her. But Day walked beside her, not ahead or behind. Like she was actually a person, not property. It felt strange and good at the same time. Borum's shop was in the lower levels of the station, tucked between a weapons dealer and a drug den. The sign outside said information services in multiple languages. Inside, it was cramped and dark. Screens covered every wall, showing news feeds from across the galaxy. A man looked up from behind a desk. He was older than Day, maybe 40, with gray starting in his hair. Day, what brings you here? And who's this? Borum, this is Hana. Hana, Borum. He's an old friend. Borum's eyes moved to Hana's neck, to the red mark where the collar had been. Understanding crossed his face. I see. What do you need, Day? Fuel and maybe passage out of here. I spent everything at the auction. Borum whistled low. You bought her? That's either very brave or very stupid. Probably both, Day admitted. Well, you came to the right place. But nothing's free. I need something from you. I have nothing to give. You have a ship. And from what I hear, you're good at getting into places unnoticed. Borum pulled up something on his screen. There's a supply depot 3 systems from here. Small place, lightly guarded. I need medical supplies from there. Real medicine. Not the fake stuff they sell on stations like this. You get me those supplies, I'll give you enough fuel to reach free territory. Plus some extra credits, Day frowned. That's theft. From the Empire? Yes, is that a problem? Dai looked at Hana. She looked back. After a moment, she spoke. The Empire took everything from me. If we take some medicine from them, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. All right, Day said. We'll do it. But we need fuel to get there. I'll loan you enough for the trip, but if you fail, you owe me double. Fair enough. They shook on it. As they left the shop, Hana felt something she had not felt in 5 years. Hope. It was small and fragile, but it was there. Back on the ship, Day prepared for departure while Hana continued working on the engines. Why does Borum need medicine so badly? She asked. He helps people. Humans mostly, but not just. There's a lot of sick people on stations like this. People with no money, no hope. Borum runs a free clinic in secret. He's a good man, and you're helping him. We're helping him, Day corrected. Partners, remember? Hana smiled. It was small and it hurt her face because she had not smiled in so long, but it was real. As the ship prepared to undock from Terminus 7, Hana stood in the cockpit next to Day. Through the viewport, she could see the station shrinking behind them. The place where she had been property, where she had lost hope. Thank you, she said again. You already thanked me. I know, but I'll probably keep saying it. Day glanced at her and smiled. Then I guess I'll have to get used to it. The ship jumped to hyperspace, leaving Terminus 7 behind. Ahead lay danger and uncertainty, but for the first time in 5 years, Hana felt like she had a future. And standing next to her was someone who saw her as a person, not a thing. It was enough. For now, it was more than enough. The supply depot floated in the darkness like a metal spider. Day watched it through his ship's sensors, counting guards and mapping patrol routes. Beside him, Hana studied the same information on her own screen. 6 guards visible, she said. Probably more inside. The medicine storage is in the east section. Borum sent me the codes, but they might not work. The Empire changes security every few weeks. Then we improvise. Hana looked at him. I can handle myself in a fight if it comes to that. Day wanted to argue, to tell her to stay on the ship where it was safe. But they were partners. She had made that clear over the past 3 days of travel. She was not fragile. She was a survivor. All right, he said. We go in together. Quick and quiet. Get the medicine and get out. They docked at a maintenance bay. The codes Borum provided worked on the outer doors. Inside, the depot was cold and dimly lit. Storage containers lined the walls marked with Empire symbols. Hana moved like a ghost, her footsteps silent. Day followed her lead. She had told him during the trip that she learned to move quietly in captivity. It was how she survived when masters were drunk and angry. Day hated thinking about it. They found the medical storage without trouble. The door lock blinked green when Day entered the codes. Inside, shelves full of supplies stretched back into darkness. Antibiotics, painkillers, surgery equipment. Everything Borum needed. Start loading, Day whispered. They filled their bags quickly, then alarms shrieked through the depot. Move. Day grabbed Hana's arm and they ran. Behind them, he heard shouting. The guards had found them. They sprinted through corridors, bags bouncing against their backs. A guard appeared ahead, raising a weapon. Hana did not hesitate. She kicked low, sweeping his legs. The guard fell and Hana was past him before he hit the ground. More guards behind them now. Energy bolts sizzled past Day's head. They reached the maintenance bay and threw themselves through the door. It sealed behind them. Get us out of here, Hana yelled, already running toward the ship. Day's fingers flew over the controls. The ship detached just as guards reached the bay door. He pushed the engines hard, accelerating away from the depot. We made it, Hana said, breathing hard. We actually made it. Then something hit the ship. The whole vessel shook. Alarms blared. Day checked his screens and cursed. They're shooting at us, hold on. He pushed the ship into evasive maneuvers. More impacts rocked them. A second ship had launched from the depot, pursuing them. It was faster than his old cargo hauler. We can't outrun them, Hana said. She was right. The pursuer gained on them with every second. Day made a decision. Get to the engine room. I need you to redirect all power to the hyperdrive, everything. Life support, weapons, everything. That's insane. We'll have maybe 30 seconds before we lose air. Then I'll jump us in 30 seconds. Go, Hana ran. Day heard her moving through the ship, heard the hum of systems shutting down. His screen showed the pursuing ship getting closer. They would be in weapon range in moments. The lights went out. Emergency power only. The temperature immediately started dropping. Day's breath fogged in front of him. Power redirected. Hana's voice came through the comm, already sounding strained from the thinning air. Day activated the hyperdrive. The calculations were not complete. This was dangerous. They could end up anywhere or nowhere. But staying meant capture or death. The ship jumped. Reality twisted. For a moment, Day felt like he was being pulled apart. Then they were somewhere else, tumbling through normal space. Hana, he called out, restoring systems. Hana, are you okay? Silence. Day's heart hammered. He unbuckled and ran to the engine room. Hana was on the floor, unconscious. She must have been closer to a faulty air seal. The oxygen had run out faster there. He grabbed her, felt for a pulse. It was there, weak but steady. He carried her to the cockpit where the air was already flowing again. Her eyes fluttered open after a moment. Did we make it? She whispered. We made it. She smiled weakly. Good, because that was terrible and I never want to do it again. Day laughed, surprising himself. Deal. They checked their position. The blind jump had taken them far off course, but they were safe. No pursuit. Day set course for a small mining planet called Bexon. It was neutral territory controlled by no empire. They could repair there and contact Borum. But 2 days later, as they approached Bexon, sensors picked up something troubling. A ship was following them. Not close, but definitely tracking. Empire? Hana asked. I think so. Day pulled up the ship's profile. His stomach sank. That's a command vessel. Someone important is on that ship. Why would they send a command vessel after us? We stole some medicine. Maybe it's not about the medicine. Day thought about Terminus 7. About the auction. Maybe someone noticed that a human bought another human. Maybe that got attention. But why would they care? I don't know. But we need to be careful. They landed on Bexon at a small port. The planet was ugly, all gray rock and mining operations. But it was independent. The Empire could not just take people here without cause. Borum had contacts on Bexon. A woman named Yuna ran a human settlement in the southern region. Day sent a message asking for help. Within an hour, Yuna arrived at their ship. She was middle-aged, tough-looking, with short hair and scars on her arms. You're the ones Borum sent? Yes, we have the medical supplies. Good, he'll be pleased. Yuna looked at Hana, then at Dai. I heard what you did. Buying her at auction. That was either noble or stupid. Everyone keeps saying that, Day muttered, because it's true. But it also makes you interesting. Come with me. There's someone you should meet. They followed Yuna into the settlement. It was small, maybe 300 people, all human. Children played in the streets. People worked in shops and gardens. It looked almost normal. Yuna led them to a large building. Inside, a man waited. He was not human. He was tall and pale, with no hair and large black eyes. A Kelvin. They were rare, known for being neutral judges in disputes. This is Arbitrator Krell, Yuna said. He presides over legal matters on Bexon. Why do we need a judge? Day asked, as if in answer. The door opened. A Valtrine walked in. He wore the uniform of an Empire commander. Day recognized him from the ship that had been following them. That is why, Yuna said grimly. The Valtrine commander smiled with too many teeth. I am Commander Vex, you are Kang Day, and this is stolen property. He pointed at Hana. She's not property, Day said. I bought her legally. Under Imperial law, the sale was questionable. I am here to reclaim her and arrest you for theft and fraud. This is neutral territory, Yuna said. You have no authority here. I have filed a formal complaint with Arbitrator Krell. The law is clear. Everyone looked at Krell. The Kelvin's face showed no emotion. I will hear both sides. Commander Vex, state your case. Vex spoke smoothly. This human is registered property of the Valtrine Empire. The purchase at Terminus 7 violated several regulations. The buyer had no proper license to own Class 1 property. The transaction must be voided. That's ridiculous, Day said. The auction was legal. Vex verified my payment. Vex is under investigation for fraud. Many of his sales are being reviewed. Krell turned to Day. What is your defense? Day opened his mouth, but no words came. What could he say? Vex was right about the technicalities. He had not known about licenses or regulations. He had just wanted to free Hana. Then Hana spoke. I want to stay with him. Everyone turned to look at her. She stood straight, her voice clear. Whatever the law says, I choose to stay with Day. He freed me. He treats me with respect. I will not go back to the Empire, Vex laughed. Property does not get to choose. I am not property. Hana's voice rang through the room. I am a human being. I have rights, not under Imperial law. Krell raised a hand for silence. This is complex. I must review the relevant laws. I will make my decision tomorrow. Until then, both parties will remain on Baeksan. No one leaves. Vex nodded, confident. Day felt sick. They had come so close to freedom, and now it might all be taken away. That night, in a room Yuna provided, Dai and Hana talked quietly. I'm sorry, he said. I didn't know this would happen. It's not your fault. Vex was looking for an excuse. The Empire hates when humans show independence. If Krell rules against us, they'll take you back and arrest me. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she said, there might be a way. Borum mentioned something once. An old law. I need to talk to Yuna. She left before Day could ask what she meant. He sat alone, fear gnawing at him. Not fear for himself, but for Hana. After everything she had survived, she might be dragged back into slavery. He could not let that happen. When Hana returned an hour later, her eyes were bright. I found a solution. But you might not like it. What is it? Under old Imperial law, before the current slavery codes, there were protections for family members. A spouse cannot be claimed as property. If we were married, Vex could not take me. Day stared at her. Married? It's just a legal trick. It doesn't have to mean anything real. But as Day looked at Hana, he realized it would mean something. Over the past week, she had become important to him. Not as someone to protect, but as a partner. As a friend. Maybe as something more. Okay, he said. Let's get married. Hana blinked. Just like that? Just like that. Day smiled. Unless you're having second thoughts? No second thoughts. Hana smiled back, and it was like the sun breaking through clouds. Partners? Partners, Day agreed. And maybe something more. Morning came too quickly. Day barely slept, his mind spinning with possibilities and fears. Hana had slept on the other side of the room, but he heard her wake several times during the night. Neither of them spoke about what they were planning. Yuna arrived early with clothes. Simple but clean. For the hearing, she said. And maybe for after. You know about our plan? Day asked. Everyone knows. Word travels fast in a small settlement. Krell knows too, probably. And Vex certainly suspects something. Yuna handed them each a cup of coffee. Real coffee, not the synthetic stuff. I think you are both very brave or very crazy. Why not both? Hana said. She was trying to sound light, but Day heard the tension in her voice. They walked to the arbitration hall together. The settlement's people lined the streets watching. Some called out encouragement. Others just stared. The Empire was powerful, and standing against it was dangerous. But these people understood what Day and Hana were trying to do. Inside the hall, Commander Vex waited with 2 guards. He looked confident. Arbitrator Krell sat behind a raised desk, his black eyes unreadable. Yuna stood with them as their representative. We are here to resolve the matter of ownership, Krell began. Commander Vex claims the human female Hana is Imperial property, and that her sale was invalid. Kang Day claims he purchased her legally. I have reviewed the laws through the night. Day's heart pounded. This was it. The sale at Terminus 7 was technically legal, Krell continued. However, Commander Vex is correct that proper licensing was not obtained. Under normal circumstances, I would rule in favor of the Empire. Vex smiled. Hana's hand found Day's and squeezed hard. However, Krell said, and Vex's smile faded, I must also consider all applicable laws. Yuna has brought to my attention an older Imperial statute, one that predates the current slavery codes by 300 years. Those laws are obsolete, Vex said quickly. They have never been officially repealed, therefore they remain valid. Krell looked directly at Day and Hana. The old law states clearly that family members cannot be separated by property claims. Specifically, spouses are exempt from slavery status. They are not married, Vex protested. Not yet, Yuna said. But they wish to be. Right now, in fact, Krell nodded. I am authorized to perform legal marriages under Baeksan law. If these two choose to marry, I will recognize it. And under the old imperial statute, so must the Empire. Vex stepped forward, his scales darkening with anger. This is a trick. A fraud to circumvent imperial law. Is it fraud for two people to marry? Krell asked calmly. Do you claim to know their hearts? I claim they are doing this only to avoid the law. Perhaps, but their motivations do not change the legality. Krell turned to Day and Hana. Do you wish to proceed? Day looked at Hana. Her dark eyes met his. They had known each other for less than 2 weeks. This should feel rushed, forced, wrong, but somehow it did not. Yes, Day said. Yes, Hana echoed. Krell stood. Then I will perform the ceremony. Commander Vex, you are welcome to witness. Vex looked like he wanted to argue, but he had no legal ground. He stood rigid, fury radiating from him. The ceremony was simple. Krell spoke words in several languages, including human languages and Valtrine. Day understood most of it. Promises to respect each other, to stand together, to build a life as partners. When Krell asked if they accepted these terms, both said yes without hesitation. By the authority granted to me, I declare you married under the laws of Bexan and under the old imperial statutes that govern family bonds. What is joined here cannot be separated by property law. Yuna handed them each a ring, simple metal bands. Day had no idea where she got them. He slipped one onto Hana's finger with shaking hands. She did the same for him. The metal was warm. It is done, Krell said. Commander Vex, do you accept this ruling? For a long moment, Vex said nothing. His eyes moved between Day and Hana with pure hatred. Finally, he spoke through clenched teeth. I accept that this falls within legal bounds. For now, but this is not over. The Empire will not forget this. Is that a threat? Yuna asked. It is a promise. These two have made themselves targets. Humans who think they are clever, who think they can outsmart the Empire. Vex turned to leave, then paused. Enjoy your freedom while it lasts. Both of you. The guards followed him out. Silence filled the hall after they left, then Yuna laughed. Well, that was dramatic, but you did it. You are actually married, and Vex cannot touch you under the law. Day felt dizzy. They had won. Against all odds, they had found a way. He looked at Hana and saw tears on her face. Are you okay? He asked softly. I'm free, she whispered. Really free. Not just uncollared. Actually free. And married. She laughed, wiping her eyes. I never thought I would get married. After everything that happened, I thought that part of life was over. Is this okay? I know we did this for legal reasons, but it's more than okay. Hana took his hand again. We are partners already. This just makes it official. And maybe it can be real too, if you want. Day squeezed her hand. I want that. I think I have wanted it since the moment you smiled on my ship. Krell cleared his throat. I believe it is customary for married couples to kiss. They looked at each other. Then slowly Day leaned in. Hana met him halfway. The kiss was gentle, tentative. It tasted like hope and new beginnings. When they pulled apart, Yuna was grinning. Now that the legal drama is over, we should celebrate. It's not every day humans win against the Empire. The settlement threw a party that evening. It was small but joyful. People brought food and homemade drinks. Children ran around laughing. Someone played music on a battered guitar. For a few hours, everyone forgot about the Empire and the dangers outside. Day and Hana sat together watching the celebration. I never asked you, Hana said. Why did you really buy me? The truth. Day thought about it. I told you about my sister. That was true. But it was more than that. When I saw you on that platform, I saw something in your eyes. You had not given up. After 5 years of hell, you were still fighting. I think I bought you because I needed to remember that fighting matters, that not giving up matters. And now I am glad I did. Not just because it was right, but because I found you. He smiled. That probably sounds stupid. No. Hana leaned her head on his shoulder. It sounds perfect. They sat like that for a while. Then Borum's voice crackled through Day's communicator. Day, you there? I'm here. We got your medical supplies. And we had some excitement, I heard. Married, congratulations. But listen, I am calling because you need to move, soon. Dee's good mood evaporated. What's wrong? Bex left, but he filed reports. I have contacts in the Empire network. There's talk about you two. Some officials are angry that humans used old laws against them. They are looking at ways to close that loophole. How long do we have? Hard to say. Maybe weeks, maybe months. But you should get to free territory as soon as possible. Once you are there, the Empire cannot touch you. We will leave tomorrow. Good, and Day? You did something amazing. Both of you. People are talking about it. Humans across the Empire are hearing the story. You gave them hope. After the call ended, Day told Hana what Borum said. She nodded. Then we leave tomorrow, together. Together, Day agreed. That night, they shared a room in Yuna's settlement. It felt strange and right at the same time. They were married now, but they were still learning each other. I'm scared, Hana admitted as they lay in the darkness. Not of you. Of everything else. What if we do not make it to free territory? What if Vex finds a way to take me back? Then we will fight together. Day found her hand in the dark. I will not let them take you. I promise. You cannot promise that. The Empire is too big, too powerful. Maybe, but I can promise to try. Every day. With everything I have. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she said, when I was a slave, I forgot what it felt like to have someone care. To have someone fight for me instead of against me. Thank you for reminding me. You do not have to thank me. We are married now. We fight for each other. Partners? Partners, Day confirmed. And maybe something more. Definitely something more. They fell asleep holding hands. Outside, the stars turned in their ancient patterns. The Empire spread across thousands of worlds, vast and powerful. But on one small mining planet, 2 humans had claimed their freedom and found something worth fighting for. The next morning, they loaded the ship and prepared to leave. The settlement came to see them off. Yuna hugged them both. The free territories are 2 weeks away at full speed. I sent word ahead. They know you are coming. Thank you for everything, Day said. Thank yourselves. You are the ones who refuse to give up. Yuna smiled. Now go. Show the galaxy what humans are made of. The ship lifted off from Bayek-san. Day set course for free territory. Beside him, Hana checked systems and prepared for the journey. They worked together smoothly now, each knowing what the other needed. As they jumped to hyperspace, leaving Beksan behind, Day felt something he had not felt in years. Not just hope, not just determination, but joy. He looked at his wife, his partner, and she looked back with a smile that lit up the cockpit. The Empire was vast and powerful, but they were free, and they were together. That made them dangerous. 2 weeks in hyperspace gave Dee and Hana time to learn each other. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. She taught him how to properly maintain engines. He taught her to cook simple meals that actually tasted good. They laughed together. They argued about small things. They figured out how to be married. At night, they shared the small cabin. At first, they kept to opposite sides of the bed, awkward and uncertain. But gradually, they moved closer, until they fell asleep in each other's arms. It felt natural. Right. Tell me about free territory, Hana asked one morning as they ate breakfast. What's it really like? I have only been there once years ago, before everything went wrong. Day sipped his coffee. It's different from Empire space. Humans make the rules there. No aliens telling us what to do or where we can go. People have actual rights. It sounds like a dream. It's real. Not perfect, but real. The main world is called New Terra. Maybe 50 million humans live there. Other colonies, too, scattered across independent systems. The Empire tried to invade once 20 years ago. The humans fought them off. Hana's eyes widened. Humans beat the Empire in a war? In that battle, yes. The Empire still has more ships, more soldiers. But free territory has something the Empire does not expect. Humans who refuse to give up. Like you. Like us. Day corrected with a smile. When they finally dropped out of hyperspace near New Terra, Hana pressed against the viewport in wonder. The planet glowed blue and green below them, surrounded by orbital stations and ships. So many ships. Human ships with clean lines and bright markings. We are here, Day said softly. We actually made it. Communications crackled. Unidentified vessel, state your business. This is the Shungri requesting permission to land. We are refugees from Empire space, a pause. Then a different voice, warmer. Shungri, we have been expecting you. Yuna sent word. Welcome home. Proceed to landing bay 12. Home. The word made Hana's throat tight. She had not had a home in 5 years. They landed in a massive bay filled with ships of all sizes. When they opened the hatch, real air flowed in. Not recycled station air. Air that smelled like trees and rain. A group waited for them. At the front stood a man in military uniform. He was maybe 45 with gray hair and sharp eyes. I am Admiral Kim Tae-yang. Welcome to New Terra. Thank you for having us, Day said. We should be thanking you. Your story has spread across our networks. A man who spent his last credit to free a slave, then married her to keep the Empire from taking her back. Kim smiled. That is the kind of story that gives people hope. We just did what we had to do. That is what makes it powerful. Come, there is much to discuss. They followed Kim through the station. Everywhere Hana looked, she saw humans. Working, talking, laughing. Children playing without fear. She had forgotten the world could look like this. Kim led them to an office overlooking the planet. I will be direct. We are at war with the Empire. Not open war yet, but it's coming. They want to crush us, to prove that humans cannot be independent, and we need every advantage we can get. What does that have to do with us? Day asked. You know Empire Space. You have contacts. And you, Hana, you were inside their system for 5 years. You understand how they think, how they operate. Hana tensed. I was a slave. I was not exactly attending strategy meetings, but you survived. You resisted. That takes intelligence and strength. Kim leaned forward. We need people like you. Both of you. Help us fight back. We are not soldiers, Dee said. We have soldiers. What we need are operatives. People who can move through Empire Space, gather intelligence, help rescue other slaves. You already proved you can do this when you stole medical supplies from that depot. Day and Hana exchanged looks. Finally, Day spoke. Can we think about it? Of course. Take time to settle in. But think quickly. The Empire is not waiting. They were given quarters in a residential section. A real apartment with 2 rooms, a kitchen, and windows that looked out over a park. Hana walked through it in a daze, touching everything. A soft couch, a real bed, a shower with hot water. This is ours? She asked. Ours, Day confirmed. For as long as we want it. Hana sat on the couch and started crying. Not sad tears, release. 5 years of holding everything in, and finally she could let go. Day sat beside her and held her while she shook. I am free, she sobbed. Really, actually free, yes, and safe. The Empire cannot reach you here. They spent the next few days exploring New Terra. The planet was beautiful. Cities built among forests. People everywhere, relaxed and confident. No collars, no fear. Hana kept touching her neck, feeling the absence of metal. One afternoon, they visited a research facility. A woman named Dr. Song Nari met them there. She was young, maybe 30, with bright eyes and quick hands. You must be Hana, Nari said. I heard you know engineering. Some. Mostly engines and basic systems. That's more than most. Come, let me show you what we are working on. The lab was full of equipment Hana had never seen before. Nari explained each one. They were developing new defensive systems. Better shields. Faster engines. Weapons that could actually hurt Empire ships. We are behind them in raw power, Nari said. But we can be smarter. More creative. The Empire thinks we are primitive. That gives us an advantage. Hana found herself fascinated. She started asking questions. Technical questions about power distribution and hull stress. Nari answered with enthusiasm. And soon they were sketching designs together on a screen. Day watched his wife work. She was alive in a way he had never seen. Her eyes bright. Her voice excited. This was who she was meant to be. Not a slave. Not even just a survivor. A builder. A creator. That evening they talked in their apartment. Nari offered me a job, Hana said. Working in her lab. Actually doing engineering again? Will you take it? I think so. I forgot how good it feels to make things instead of just fixing them. She paused. What about you? What did you do today? I talked to Kim's logistics people. They need supply runners. People who know the routes between Empire Space and here. It's dangerous but important. Will you do it? I think so. But only if you are okay with it. I will be gone sometimes. Maybe for weeks. Hana took his hand. We are partners. That means we support each other's choices. If this is what you want to do, I support you. And I support you working with Nari. We are both finding our place here. Over the next weeks, they built a life on New Terra. Hana threw herself into research work. She had ideas, innovations that impressed even Nari. Day started running supplies between free territory worlds, learning the safe routes and hidden paths. They were apart sometimes, but they always came back to each other. Their apartment became a home. They cooked meals together. They talked about their days. They made love and held each other through the night. One evening, 3 months after arriving, Borum's face appeared on their comm screen. "Day, Hana. Good to see you. Borum, how are things in Empire space? Complicated. But I have news. Your story is spreading. Not just among humans. Some of the other slave races are talking about it too. About how you used old laws to win freedom. It's giving people ideas. Is that good or bad? Both. Good because it spreads resistance. Bad because the Empire is getting angry. They are cracking down. Anyone caught talking about you gets punished." Borum's face grew serious. "But there is more. I found something. About your sister." Day went very still. "Jihi? She's alive. I have confirmation. She is on a world called Vex Prime, working in a manufacturing facility. Working or enslaved? Enslaved. But Day, listen. She is not just surviving. She is leading. My contacts say there is a resistance cell in that facility. Underground slaves who are organizing, preparing to fight back. And your sister is one of the leaders." Day could not breathe. After 5 years of believing Jihi was dead or broken, she was alive. Fighting. "I can get you more information," Borum continued. "Facility layout. Guard schedules. Everything you need to mount a rescue. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve to know. And because if anyone can pull off a rescue from Vex Prime, it's you two. You already did the impossible once." After the call ended, Day sat in silence. Hana put her arms around him. "We will get her out," she said quietly. "It's too dangerous. Vex Prime is a core world. Heavy security. If we get caught, then we will be careful. We will plan. We will succeed." Hana turned his face toward hers. "You saved me, Day. Let me help you save your sister. This is not your fight." "Yes, it is. She is your family. That makes her my family too. We are married, remember? Your battles are my battles." Day pulled her close. "I do not deserve you." "Yes, you do. And I do not deserve you. So we are even." The next day, they went to Admiral Kim. They explained everything. Borum's information. Jihi's location. The resistance cell. Kim listened carefully. When they finished, he nodded. "Vex Prime is important to the Empire. If we could strike there, free those slaves, it would be a major blow. We are not asking for an invasion," Day said. "Just permission to try. I will give you more than permission. I will give you a team. Trained operatives, equipment, everything you need." "Why?" Hana asked. "Why invest so much in one rescue?" "Because it's not just one rescue," Kim said. "If we can show that humans will go into the heart of the Empire to free each other, if we can prove that no prison is too secure, it changes everything. It shows that the Empire is not invincible. That humans do not abandon each other." He stood up. "This will be dangerous. You could die." The ship was small and fast, built for stealth. Day sat in the pilot's seat running final checks. Behind him, 4 operatives prepared their gear. These were Admiral Kim's best people, quiet, professional, deadly when they needed to be. Hana sat beside Dai, studying the facility plans on her screen. 2 months of preparation had led to this moment. They knew every corridor, every guard station, every camera. Borum's contacts had provided everything they needed. 5 minutes to the jump point, Day said. His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly. In 5 minutes, they would be back in Empire space. Back where they were hunted. Hana took his hand. "We will get her out. All of them." The plan was bold. They would pose as slave traders delivering new workers to the facility. False credentials provided by Borum would get them inside. Once in, they would locate the resistance cell, make contact with Jihi, and coordinate a mass escape. Simple on paper. Deadly in execution. The ship jumped. When they emerged, Vex Prime filled the viewport. A gray world covered in factories and mines. Millions of slaves worked there, producing weapons and equipment for the Empire. It was one of the most secure worlds in the Empire. "This is insane," one of the operatives muttered. His name was Minho, and he had been a soldier for 10 years. "We are flying right into their territory. That is why they will not expect it," Hana said calmly. She had changed over the past 2 months. Training had hardened her. Planning had focused her. She was not the broken slave from Terminus 7 anymore. She was a warrior. They approached the facility. It was massive. A sprawling complex of buildings connected by covered walkways. Guard towers dotted the perimeter. Ships patrolled overhead. "Transport vessel Merchant 7, state your purpose," a voice demanded over the comm. Day activated the false credentials. We have a shipment of workers. 20 units. Authorization code 77 Alpha. A long pause. Day's heart hammered. If the codes did not work, they were dead. Authorization confirmed. Proceed to Docking Bay 9. They were in. The docking bay was enormous, filled with ships and cargo. Guards watched from elevated platforms, their weapons visible. Day landed smoothly and powered down. Through the viewport, he saw aliens moving everywhere. Valtrine, others. No humans except the slaves. A Valtrine overseer approached their ship as they lowered the ramp. He was large, covered in dark scales with cruel eyes. You have workers for me? 20 humans, all healthy, all compliant. Day kept his voice flat, emotionless. Like this was just business, bring them out. I want to inspect. The team had prepared for this. They had brought 20 humans from New Terra who volunteered for the mission. Civilians who wanted to help. They filed out of the ship wearing slave suits, their heads down. They looked broken. Perfect. The overseer walked among them, occasionally grabbing a chin to examine teeth or checking arms for strength. Acceptable. Process them in Building 7. You will be paid standard rates. And our ship? Day asked. We need repairs. The mechanic bay is in Section 12. Do not leave this facility without clearance. Understood. The overseer left with the 20 volunteers and a group of guards. As planned, the volunteers would be taken to processing, where they would receive identification chips. This would give them access to the facility, and it would put them in contact with other slaves. Day and the team moved quickly. They changed into worker uniforms stolen months ago during a raid. The uniforms would let them move through the facility without drawing attention. Not slaves, but low-level workers. Hana, you are with me, Day said. Minho, take your team to the communications hub. We need to disable their distress signals when this starts. Minho nodded and left with 3 operatives. That left Day and Hana alone in the ship. They looked at each other. Ready? Day asked. Ready. They left the ship and entered the facility. The corridors were gray and cold, lit by harsh lights. Slaves moved past them in groups, always escorted by guards. They kept their heads down. Nobody looked at anybody. Day had studied the facility map for weeks. He knew Jihi was in Building 4, in the manufacturing section. They walked quickly, but not too quickly. Just workers going about their tasks. Building 4 smelled like hot metal and oil. The sound of machinery filled the air. Hundreds of slaves worked at stations, assembling components under the eyes of guards. Day scanned faces, searching. Then he saw her. Jihi looked older. Her hair was cut short. Her face was thinner. But it was her. His sister. Alive. She stood at a station near the back, welding pieces together. A guard stood 10 meters away, watching the workers. Day and Hana approached casually, pretending to inspect equipment. When they got close, Day spoke softly. Jihi. Her hands froze. Her head turned slowly. When she saw him, her eyes went wide. Day, she whispered. How? No time. We are here to get you out, all of you. Jihi glanced at the guard, then back. You should not be here. It's too dangerous. I do not care. I found you. I am not leaving without you. Tears formed in Jihi's eyes, but she blinked them back. The resistance cell. We have been planning our own escape. But we need weapons. We have everything. Hana interrupted quietly. We have a ship. We have people on the outside. We just need to coordinate. Tonight, Ji said. We were going to move tonight anyway. The overseer Drax, he goes off duty at midnight. That is when we plan to strike. Then we stick to your plan. Where do you need us? The armory. If you can get us weapons, we can take the whole facility. Day nodded. Show us where. Over the next hours, they moved carefully through the facility. Jihi introduced them to other resistance leaders. There were more than Day expected. Slaves who had been planning this for months, some for years. They had been waiting for the right moment. You gave us hope, one man told Day. He was older, maybe 50, with scars covering his arms. We heard about what you did, about the auction, about using old laws to beat them. It showed us the Empire could be beaten. We all beat them together, Day said. As midnight approached, everyone moved into position. The volunteers from New Terra had been processed and distributed through the facility. They were ready. Jihi's resistance cell was ready. Minho's team was ready. Day and Hana stood outside the armory. It was guarded by 2 Valtrine soldiers, big ones, armed. Ready? Hana whispered. Ready. They approached the guards, walking like they belonged there. When the guards challenged them, Hana moved. Fast. She had trained for months on New Terra, learning to fight. She kicked the first guard's knee, making him stumble. Before he could recover, she grabbed his weapon. Day tackled the second guard. They fought briefly, but Day had surprise on his side. He knocked the guard unconscious with the guard's own weapon. They opened the armory. Inside were weapons, body armor, equipment. Everything the resistance needed. Day activated his communicator. Now, everyone move now. Across the facility, the plan activated. Slaves rose up simultaneously. Jihi's cell struck in Building 4, overwhelming their guards. The volunteers from New Terra attacked in Building 7. Everywhere, humans who had been treated like property remembered they were warriors. Alarms shrieked. Guards rushed to respond, but they were overwhelmed by sheer numbers. For every guard, there were 50 slaves, and now those slaves had weapons. Day and Hana armed themselves and ran toward Building 4. They found Jihi leading her cell through corridors, fighting their way toward the landing bay. Bodies littered the ground. Some human, more alien. D, Jihi called when she saw him. The landing bay is blocked. Drax called in reinforcements. Drax, the overseer. He stood at the bay entrance with 30 guards, weapons raised. You think you can escape? Drax roared. You are property. You will die as property. Jihi stepped forward. We are not property. We are human, and we do not break. She raised her weapon and fired. Others followed. A battle erupted in the corridor. Energy bolts filled the air. People fell on both sides, but the humans kept coming, wave after wave. Day fought beside his sister. Hana fought on his other side. The three of them moved together, covering each other. A guard aimed at Jihi. D shot him. Another rushed D. Hana struck him down. Slowly, the guards fell back. Drax screamed orders, but his forces were crumbling. Too many humans. Too much fury. A bolt hit Day in the shoulder. He fell, gasping. Hana was there instantly, dragging him to cover. Blood soaked his uniform. I am okay, he gasped. Keep fighting. No, you are hurt. Hana's hand shook as she tried to stop the bleeding. Jihi appeared beside them. Drax is running. The bay is clear. We need to go now before more guards arrive. Between them, Hana and Jihi got Day to his feet. He was dizzy from blood loss, but he could walk. They staggered toward the landing bay. Ships sat waiting. Their own stealth ship. Guard ships they could steal. Mino and his team had already started engines. Everyone on ships. Jihi ordered, now! 300 slaves rushed into the bay. They packed into every available ship. It was chaos, but organized chaos. People who had been planning this. Day collapsed into the pilot seat of their ship, his shoulders screaming. Hana took over the controls. Hold on, she said. Ships lifted off together. The bay doors were opening. Outside, patrol ships approached. But Minho's team had sabotaged the facility's weapons. The ships escaped into the night sky. Behind them, explosions rocked the facility. 6 months after Vex Prime, the galaxy had changed. News of the rescue spread like fire through Empire space. Slaves whispered about it in work camps. Free humans celebrated it. The Empire tried to suppress the story, but they could not. It was everywhere. Dai stood on the bridge of the battleship Guangbok, his shoulder still stiff from the injury. It had healed, but it would never be quite the same. Neither would he. The rescue had made him a symbol. People looked to him now, expected things. It was uncomfortable but necessary. Final preparations complete, Captain An Minho reported. The same Minho who had led the team at Vex Prime. After the rescue, Kim had promoted him to captain and given him command of humanity's newest warship. All ships report ready. Through the viewport, Day counted vessels. 30 human warships, not much compared to the Empire's thousands. But it was enough for what they planned. Hana approached from the tactical station. She wore a uniform now, having joined the military after Vex Prime. Her engineering knowledge made her valuable in ship operations. Intelligence confirms the target is lightly defended. They did not expect us to strike there. There was Terminus 7, the slave station where everything began, where Day had spent his last credit to buy Hana's freedom. Now they were returning with an army. Admiral Kim's face appeared on the main screen. He was on the command ship, coordinating the fleet. This is more than a rescue mission. Terminus 7 is a symbol of Empire cruelty. When we liberate it, we send a message to every slave in the galaxy. Freedom is coming. Day nodded. Over the past months, Kim had explained the strategy. Small victories were not enough anymore. They needed to strike at the Empire's heart, at the symbols of their power. Terminus 7 was one of the most notorious slave markets in existence. Destroying it would shake the Empire. All ships, Kim ordered. Jump in 3, 2, 1. Reality twisted. The fleet jumped together, emerging in the Terminus 7 system. Alarms immediately shrieked across Empire frequencies. The station floated ahead exactly as Day remembered. But this time he was not arriving as a desperate cargo hauler. He was arriving with the full force of free humanity behind him. Station defense ships launching, Hana reported. Count 26. No capital ships. Our intel was correct, Minho said. They really did not think we would come here. Prepare for engagement, Kim ordered. Remember, our priority is the slaves. We hold the ships here while boarding teams liberate the station. The space battle began. Empire ships moved to intercept. Human ships spread out in formation, their weapons lighting up the darkness. Explosions bloomed silently in the void. The Guangbok shook as enemy fire struck their shields. Minho adjusted course, returning fire. An Empire ship broke apart, venting atmosphere. Boarding team ready, Day reported. He would lead the team personally. Hana would come with him, so would Jihi, who had refused to stay behind. After Vex Prime, she had joined the military too. She said she owed the Empire some payback. Go, Kim said. Bring them home. The boarding ship detached from the Guangbok. Day piloted it toward Terminus 7, weaving through the battle. Energy bolts sizzled past. An Empire fighter exploded nearby, debris bouncing off their hull. They docked at the same bay Day had used months ago. As the hatch opened, memories flooded back. Walking these corridors alone, seeing Hana on that platform, spending everything to save one person. Now he was back to save thousands. The team moved quickly through the station. 20 soldiers, all carrying weapons, all trained. They met resistance immediately. Station guards opened fire from defensive positions. The battle was loud and chaotic, nothing like the sneaking they did at Vex Prime. Push forward, Jihi ordered, firing as she advanced. She had become a natural leader, fearless and tactical. Day was proud of her. They fought their way to the auction hall. The same hall where Day had bid for Hana. Now it was filled with guards instead of buyers. The guards had barricaded the entrance. Breach charges, Minho ordered. Explosions tore through the doors. The team rushed in, weapons raised. The guards fought hard, but they were outnumbered. One by one, they fell. In the center of the hall, chained to posts, were dozens of slaves. Humans and other races. They stared at the fighting with wide eyes, not understanding what was happening. Hana ran to them, pulling out tools to break their chains. You are being rescued. We are taking you to free territory. Free territory? One woman asked. That is real? Very real. And you are going there today. More teams spread through the station, breaking into holding cells and auction rooms. Hundreds of slaves were freed. Some cried. Some laughed. Some just stood in shock. Then Day heard a familiar voice. This is impossible. You cannot be here, he turned. Thex the broker stood at the far end of the hall, flanked by guards. The same Valtrine who had sold Hana to Day. The same one who had laughed when Day bid his last credits. Hello, Thex. Day said calmly. Remember me? Thex's snake eyes narrowed. The stupid human. You came back? Why? To finish what I started. Thex's guards raised their weapons. But Jihi and her team were faster. They shot first. The guards fell. Thex stood alone, trembling. Hana walked toward him slowly. Thex backed away. Please. I was just doing business. It was not personal. It was personal to me. Hana's voice was cold. You sold me like I was nothing. You sold thousands like me. You destroyed lives for profit. I will give you money, credits, anything you want. I do not want your money. Hana raised her weapon. For a long moment she aimed at Thex's head. Day could see her finger on the trigger, could see the rage in her eyes. Then she lowered the weapon. But I will not kill you. Because we are not like you. We do not take lives for pleasure. She looked at the freed slaves. Take him. Put him in a cell. Let him live as property for a while. Maybe he will learn what it feels like. The former slaves grabbed Thex eagerly. He screamed as they dragged him away. Day! Minho's voice came through the comm. We have a problem. Empire reinforcements just jumped in. A lot of them. Day ran back to the viewport. Outside, the battle had intensified. 20 new Empire ships had arrived, led by a command vessel. Day recognized its markings. Commander Vex, he came personally, Hana said. He wants revenge. All teams expedite evacuation, Kim's voice ordered. We need to leave now. They hurried the freed slaves toward the boarding ships. So many people, all confused and scared. The soldiers guided them calmly, getting them aboard as quickly as possible. As the last slaves boarded, Day looked back at Terminus 7, the station that had haunted his nightmares. Now it was empty of slaves, burning in places from the fighting. No longer a symbol of Empire power. Set charges, he ordered. Destroy it all. They planted explosives throughout the station. As the boarding ship detached, Day triggered the detonation. Terminus 7 exploded in a chain reaction, breaking apart in a massive fireball. The fleet began jumping away, but Commander Vex's ships pursued. The Guangbok was one of the last to jump, covering the others. They are targeting us specifically, Minho reported. Vex wants this ship. Then let him try, Day said. The battle was fierce. The Guangbok traded fire with 3 Empire ships at once. Their shields flickered and failed. Hull breaches vented atmosphere, but they kept fighting. An Empire torpedo struck their engine section. The ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every console. We have lost hyperdrive capability, the engineer reported. We cannot jump. Vex's command ship approached, weapons charging. Through the comm, his voice came. Surrender. Your ship is dead. You have nowhere to run. Day looked at Hana, at Jihye, at Minho and the crew. They all looked back, waiting for his decision. We do not surrender, Day said. He opened a channel to all human ships. This is Day. The Guangbok is disabled. Do not wait for us. Get the freed slaves to safety. That is the mission. Negative, Kim responded. We are coming back for you. No, if you do, more people die. Complete the mission, Admiral. That is an order. You do not give me orders, Day. Today I do. Go. Tell the galaxy what happened here. Tell them humans will not stop fighting. Silence. Then Kim spoke, his voice tight. May you find peace among the stars, brother. The other ships jumped away. The Guangbok drifted alone, surrounded by Empire vessels. We are going to die, someone whispered. Maybe, Jihye said, but we die free. That is something. Hana took Day's hand. No regrets? None, you? None, they waited for the end. But then something appeared on the sensors. More ships. Dozens of them, hundreds, jumping in from every direction. What is that? Minho asked. Hana pulled up the ship identifications. Her eyes went wide. They are from everywhere. Independent traders, free colonies, even some non-humans who hate the Empire. They heard about the attack. They came to help. One ship's captain came over the comm. It was Borum. Sorry we are late, Day, but we could not let you have all the fun. The new arrivals swarmed Vex's fleet. They were not military ships, just civilians with weapons, but there were so many. The Empire ships found themselves overwhelmed. One ship latched onto the Guangbok and extended a docking tube. Get your people over here, the captain called. We will tow you out. They evacuated quickly. As Day was the last to leave, he took one final look at the Guangbok's bridge. A good ship. It had done its duty. The civilian fleet jumped away before Empire reinforcements could arrive.